All right. Some good old fishing, huh?
Yeah, yeah. It's too laggy for me to do the excavation, so just do the fishing. It's more chill.
Why are you going 300 ping? That's rough.
From Sydney.
Oh, Aussie. That's right. You are an Aussie.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Um, I find like once I know the raid, it's not too bad. Progging can be a bit painful, but really not something I feel anymore.
You're just used to it. I remember back in
Yeah,
the day. I mean, we used to play on a lot of ping too. As long as it's see, the thing is, it's just like your computer, right? If
yeah,
um if it's an inconsistent spike in your graphics card or your CPU, that's when you see your computer start to fucking be janky and jaggy, right? Because what it's doing
yeah,
is it's jumping between performances. So like
yeah,
having a 300 frame monitor, but having it jump between 60 and 300, that's a fucking problem. You're better off just leaving it at 120 base, right? Same thing here.
yes.
Because you're constantly at 390 and it's not making massive jumps, then you don't feel those skips because you're just always at that level of fucking delay.
Yeah, no, it's not 390. It's usually about 200 for me.
Okay, so the
390. I don't.
bots are spiking it
Yeah,
for you.
yeah, something's spiking it for me. I gotta figure out what's happened because it wasn't this bad a couple of weeks ago for me.
Uh,
Not this bad, like just last week it was bad. Um, so gotta figure out what's going wrong there.
All right, let's jump in. So,
Yeah,
I know yesterday you guys all briefly kind of talked about it, and the only reason
mm,
I even offered to do kind of a sit with you was because I didn't, not that I didn't like, not that I didn't like the advice they were all giving you was pretty good except for like one part. So that's why I wanted to
mm,
see where your account was at. Because I think
yeah,
a lot of the guys that I do this stuff with, right, this whole team that we're building, they forget
yeah,
that a lot of you guys when I do the advice for the videos, I'm taking a personalized look at your account, so it gives me a better idea on where you are bound wise and stuff,
yeah,
and what you have, right? So it's they're not really doing that, and that's why some of that advice is good advice, but then some of it could be bad advice, right? So that's why I'd like to look at this. So let's go ahead.
yeah.
First, let's take a look. What are your goals? What do you want? What do you want?
All right, so I
What?
kind of want a I want a 6-man roster that's like all like decently jacked, but I don't think I don't want to pay for it either the time or the money. So I've kind of decided that like my
What's
paladin
decently
and my
jacked?
sock,
Well, what's that mean though?
like well for me right now it means like everyone around the same level as my sorceress is what I consider like my main. So just a couple level 9s, LOS 30 eventually, and all of them at like end game. Well, not end game, but like at least like Akkan. But I'm realizing now that I have to like pick two. And if I pick two, it's gonna be my sorceress and my
Only for
paladin.
now. The only reason you're only going to
Yeah,
pick two is because you're not going to have enough bound materials to do all of them. So then
yeah,
you have to farm more bounds. So you pick two for now because you're going to be paying a premium price to get those two. And then
yeah,
you can circle back on the other ones. You
yeah,
gotta, something I try to always say to people is there's very few people who had 61580s like I did. And the people who did had to either one, play the game a lot, right? Two, spend a lot. Three
yeah,
are, cheat, right?
yeah,
Or four, kind of do something along the lines of what I did, which was make massive sacrifices on their account at certain stages of their progression. Like again, I've sold
yeah.
my gems twice on my account. All of the gems on my account I've sold twice.
Oh
So
damn.
yeah, so I don't. You actually have better gems than I do, I think probably. But the I mean, I'm rebuilding them, right? That's the point. But yeah, it was two massive sacrifices. So it's two things that people I think miss when they go for that 1580 goal is that the people who got all those 1580s had to make wicked sacrifices, whether it be time, money, or like me, which is still time, just dumping all of the gems and the progression on my account to push forward. So now that
To
we've
push more.
owned that can't happen, right? Like you can't do that technically. You can only do two at a time. Then now it's time to pick two. So which ones have the most bound materials, or do they all have 500 or less?
Um, no. Yeah, she's just been tapped out. But the paladin I think has a lot more because he has the event on him.
So then the paladin, if he's 1540 already, might actually be your better option for two
He might
reasons.
be. Yeah, he's not 1540 yet, just because he doesn't have the braille weapon, but he'll have that this coming
This
week.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So
he'll
let's take
get
a
that,
look.
and then he'll.
If it's within a couple of hundred, then there's no real difference between the two. But if he's like 1,000 and she's at 500, no, he's definitely the character you want to maybe push. You can also put
Yeah.
more materials into her, but the goal is to try to save as many of the bounds for the third, fourth, fifth, sixth character that you want to eventually get to 1580. Because again, it's even though we're backseating those goals, we're not completely forgetting about them. We're doing things in a manner that should help you throughout that whole process.
Yeah.
So let's see what he's got for bounds. And do you have anything in your storage as your roster storage? Yeah, no, him,
Yeah,
undeniably
he
him.
was stuff like that.
Um,
Yeah, he's got the event as well. No, he's got the event as well. No, I do have a lot. Let me just get back to my socials because she's where I stack all the event stuff, like all the roster bound stuff.
I'm sorry. Can I say
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
I'm actually evolved. Hello?
yeah, I hear you.
Evolved?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I told him to push as many characters to 1520. They were all close.
Yeah.
That's still a
Yeah,
good
and
idea.
I told him,
Awesome.
yeah, and I told him that basically I told him that he should push all the characters to 1540 because of the possibility of loot that he can sell.
Yeah.
And the new
that was-
Guardian, and you also have this new Chaos, so that gives, yeah, new materials and new, more shards. So that's what I told him. I also told him, which you remember that we argued about, that he can push the two characters to 1560, but then the Paladin to 1580. This is where we have the dispute.
Yeah, but I'm not here to dispute. I'm here to help him.
Yeah,
To
that's
say it
fine.
like that, but when we haven't even gotten to his alt characters. We just got in here
Yeah.
and I asked him what his goals were. That's it.
Yeah. My goals are I'd like to have everyone up eventually, not up, but like as strong as possible eventually. But I just got to start with 2.
So between the not to cut Woj off, but between the bound materials you have there and the materials you have in the Paladin, here's the thing. So you might be able to get the Paladin with all of that stuff there to 1580, but probably not. Like he's still gonna need another week of farming. Also, you still have to get him to 1540. So I would get him to 1540. So like he's saying, get that dungeon. The other characters to 1520 is also pretty massive because you are going to get that dungeon. So I know we haven't talked about alts yet, but it's basically like my whole philosophy. So this is for Wojciech too, because this is kind of where he's not going wrong, but going wrong in the advice on why he doesn't get this. Why he was telling you to push for 1550, 1560. The whole concept is you want to put the bare amount that you need in right now to just get the most reward, which is kind of what Wilden was arguing with me, and he's right in that sense that you don't want to put it in, but because I'm always playing the long game with my roster, that's not true. I get more value right now on a lot of stuff out of my account, and you're gonna too, actually. It's still a fundamental truth on everybody's accounts. But before we went to your alts, we had to take a look at how possible it even is for you to push these characters to 1580. Because if there was no chance, if they were both sitting on 400 stones, then I wouldn't even tell you to touch them at all. I would have told you to just touch the alts. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you would have got more immediate value out of it. But now that I've seen that your Paladin has over 2,000 stones or whatever it was, or 1,800 stones, I actually think that you could push that character potentially at a 1580. I don't think you could do it. And you have 2,200 in tradables too. Yeah, like that Paladin could honestly make it if you have enough of these roster storage things. And I know you want to use them on your Sork, but by doing this, you'll be able to go get the Akkan shop on the Paladin and then start pushing the Sork faster behind that. Because no matter what, you have farming time here. So I guess that's where I should start. The reason why we shouldn't push the Sork first, and the reason why we shouldn't even start attempting it, like he's saying, go to 1550 or 1560, is because you don't even have anything close to the amount of bound materials you need, which is an argument to go for the 1560 chaos, because then you'll gain more bounds, but you don't even have enough to push for that. So we're basically dipping into your account debt-wise, deficit-wise, for no reward, for zero reward potentially. So I'm going to stick with the advice I wanted to give you, despite what Woj is saying, which is I would probably push the Paladin first. I would honestly, I would take as many of these out of your storage with this stuff right here, and go start putting them on him and seeing if you can actually do that. Now I know you need one more piece, so you don't have to do it instantly, right? So you get that other piece, get him up to 1540. Let's see where he's at bound wise, and then if he's got like the 2,000 that you have in your storage plus the always use bound first. So always use all these first, right? Use the tradable last. If you if you get him to like 3,000, right, bound materials with all of these things, and I don't see a reason. I think it's like 6K. Let's take a look at the max roll real quick. I think it is like 6K to get a character to that next threshold. So let's just take a quick look just to make sure, because you're gonna need gold too. So you're looking at a week or 2 weeks of guaranteed farming anyhow, before like you can actually make any of these moments make any of these things happen. Let's just take a quick
In
look.
regards to when I spoke to Wojciech before, my plan after speaking to him was all the ults to 1540 first and then the pally, but you reckon I should just send the pally first? Like,
No. He's still right. Like we can do both at the same time, I guess, kind of thing. So because you have a week of farming to 2 weeks of farming on the paladin, to get the set and the gold that you're gonna need anyhow. Because the dead zone is between 1540 and 1580. Like, he wants you to push 1550, 1560, but I keep arguing this with people is that I think it's a completely dead zone. You don't get, for the Chaos Dungeon 1560, you get 2,000 extra honor shards per clear, or something like that. Like, it's just not worth it. Like, it's genuinely overall not worth it for what you're getting out of that range. And then because Brell's been nerfed, and what you're getting now is one singular gate, and it's an every 2 week gate, it's just fundamentally not worth it. Like, it's really not worth it. It's worth it time-wise, because you're doing a lot less for a good amount of rewards, but it's not worth it if we're trying to just push you forward a little bit faster. What is worth it is what he said with the alts. You'll get more value out of getting these alts to 1540 because of the Hanamaton than you would out of anything. So we're going to go to them too, and we're going to check out their bounds. I just kind of want to cover that first goal of yours, which is to get your characters up to the current content. And if that's your most important part, then we had to take a look at these two characters that are the most equipped. Being like bound materials, and the Sork just isn't going to be the one, I guess is what we're covering.
Right.
So
it just doesn't have enough.
So you're going to do both. Let's go take a look at some of these 1520s and see where they're at.
Can I defend myself for a second?
No, never. Go ahead. Yeah.
So basically, I was disputing about him pushing his sorceress and paladin to 1560, not other alts at the same time. So basically 2 characters only.
Yeah, but he can't even push the Sork. Because I'm looking at the shard count and stuff right now, and the on the leap stones, he just
I maybe missed that.
It's not that you missed that. This is what I was just saying to him before you joined in here. It's not that you missed it. It's that there's something different about coming here and sitting. Even if you did this, you would have done a better job than trying to do it through text. How come I never do that through text with somebody? Because it's hard. You have to actually take a look at their account and see kind of where they're at. You can't just give the bland advice without doing it.
I see now.
See, now that you're actually looking at his stuff, you can get a good idea for where he's actually at. So you can't push this to 1540 without tapping into those bounds. So again, another week to two.
This is really.
And not just that, look at the scouter. So if he was to push the scouter to 1540, it would hurt his account right now because he has no bound materials. So no matter what, you have a week to 2 weeks of farming before we can even start pushing anybody, right? So go to, just keep going to the other 1520s. Let's see if any of them are in a position where we can maybe push them up.
Besides missing some Belshazzar parts, so ancient parts, and many characters have the position to be pushed.
Yeah, I was willing to tap into my unbound stuff to push them all to 1540, like just quickly, but
we can do that because you could get the materials back on Hanamatans. So that's not a bad idea too if you really want to go that route. As long as you have the shards and we're not tapping too much into your shards, then it's totally fine.
Yeah, that was like my plan after speaking to So you just want me to call you Woj or Wojciech? Sorry.
No, that's fine.
But this character actually might be able to make it with the free taps. So you kind of see where we're going with this. So this character, like that scouter, might get backseated, and then this character might get pushed. So over the next 2 weeks, that's what I mean. You could probably push her now. Don't you have the stuff? Go ahead, do it. Give me the content.
She does not have the.
She doesn't have the weapon, but I can get it the rest of the way.
Nope. I see what you're saying. So they're all missing the weapon.
Yeah.
They're not all of them are missing the weapon. The Berserker, he's missing just the
armor or something.
Just the armor, yeah. And the reflux is missing a bit more.
And again, note that I'm not nothing that Wojciech had said in the chat was just fundamentally wrong to you, except for the dead range, 1550, 1560. The rest of it was all really good advice, but you have to look at your account and see where you're actually going to make those pushes. You're not going to be pushing the Sork. That's just crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The push from 1540 to 1580 is massive. So like, there's an argument there to push the Sork to 1560 to try to get that Chaos Dungeon, because you're going to be farming it for a month to 2 months. But I really don't think you need to do that. I think if you honestly get these characters to the 1540 range, like what he was telling you, get these characters to the 1540 range, push the Paladin up. The Paladin getting the Legion shop will help you get the Sork up because you'll have more bound materials, but then you'll also be able to do Hanamatons on these characters to funnel into the Sork. The Sork's going to be the character that you end up funneling and focusing, but the Paladin's going to be the one that you can probably do right now with the gold. It takes 220,000 gold. So, okay, so this character. Same thing with this character. All of these characters have the potential to make it straight to 1540 with a few of those bounds. You are kind of out of blues, though, and like reds, so that's going to be something where you maybe want to start saving them from your dungeons and shit.
Yeah, I'll have to start actually doing Caligos, I think, too. And Chaos as well. Yeah.
If you're geared, Caligos can't be that bad.
One second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll leave you there. Have fun.
Thank you. Yeah, nothing Woj told you is going to be bad information. It's just when you should do what you should do.
Yeah, I was... Sorry about that. Just my dad walked in. Yeah, I was just not sure what to do again next when I joined the server, because I just gotten my sorceress to 1540, then my paladin was coming next week, and I wasn't sure if I should push all to 1540 first, or if I should just push the paladin and the sork at the same time, or just the one or the other. It was just a lot to think about. Just wanted someone else's opinion. So yeah, I'm just looking at my
Yeah, so those characters
now.
weeks out.
They're all weak out, and
Just 'cause
everyone,
that's it.
all my alts are 5x3 level 7 gems. I don't know if I should downgrade their gems or not to sell them, or...
No, I mean, I would keep them. Because you're not in, like, I've done that before where I sold all the gems on my account, but that's not where... I'm at the top of the player base, right? And I'm not at the tippity top. I'm not like the 1%, but I'm definitely the top 10% with my roster. Which means that to keep up, sometimes I have to make those types of sacrifices. Like, actually, right now is kind of one of those moments. This is sounding crazy. But, like, after I get all 6 of my Akkan pieces, I'm not going to do this, right? But this would be one of those moments where if I wanted to dump the gems on some of my characters to get even more progression eye level wise, this would be a good time to do it. But I'm not going to do it. Because I think we're just getting one Chaos Dungeon. I don't even think we're getting a Chaos Dungeon, actually. I don't think we get another Chaos Dungeon until Thameen, which means that Voldice is just a raid for us. So there's no reason for me to try to push for Voldice, even though I am going to. There's no reason for me to try to push for it other than the raid content, the elixirs. But for you, anybody who's always end up not behind, but not top 10%, I don't recommend making massive sacrifices like that, because what you're gaining is getting caught up, and that doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
Right? And you're not even going to get caught up. You could dump every gem on your account, and you would not get 1580s out of that.
Yeah, I know.
So
makes sense.
now let's go back to your roster, because you have an easy plan. You're going to farm for a week to 2 weeks, because you have to go get the sets and stuff anyways. You're not going to be pushing the Sork. You're going to be pushing the Berserker and the Bard, because they had a shit ton of bound materials. You're not going to be pushing the Scouter, because the Scouter also didn't have any bounds. So you're going to give them 2 weeks of farming before you even look at them again. And then as soon as you get that last piece on the Paladin, you can push it to 1580 now, or you can just wait the 2 weeks to farm like you're going to farm anyways, farm up more tradables, and then we'll take a look again in a week or two.
Yeah, sounds good.
And the only reason I'm trying to stop you from tapping him before we have all the materials you need is because if you get stuck at 1570 something, or 1570, or 1560 something, or 1550 something, you wasted that gold essentially. Now, grant you didn't, because 1560 is that dungeon, but you kind of did. You kind of did waste that gold. Yeah. The worst thing to happen will be you coming up short. Right? So could you actually go back to the Paladin, because I want to see what your honor shards are at. So you okay with that? Could you kind of repeat that plan back to me, just so I have a general understanding if you know what we're doing?
Yeah.
And also, how long is that Sork going to wait, that first Sork?
First thing you said, for the first Sork, wait a couple of months for just to farm up materials.
At least a month. At least a month.
At least, yeah, until she has enough bounds.
Our goal is to get you 11580 right now, so we can get you 1600 by Vol Dice. You know what I mean? And which isn't probably going to happen, but we want to get you as close to the end game as we can. And a lot of the players that are behind, I want you to follow my funnel method. The players who are behind, but you kind of can't. Like you should still do what you're doing, get these alts to a range where they're helping that main character. But after that, anything into them is just kind of hurting your ability to get caught back up. 1.7, you actually have like enough of the mats almost. Like you really do. Another couple weeks of farming on him with these characters while you're getting them to 1540, and maybe while you're at it, start saving up some prime arrays or superior arrays. I mean, and no, you're good, man.
A lot lately. Yeah.
You already have the stones between what's in your bound roster. Like you could do it now technically, but I think waiting the 2 weeks will benefit your account more.
Yes, I think over the next 2 weeks, it's sorry, just I can just also
grind.
repeat it back to you.
Also, the paladin, I would recommend trying to do unrested. Same with the Sork. If you ever want the Sork to eventually reach that point, you need to get just those 2 characters. If you can't, you can't. But it's not hard to get on. Like I'm saying that with somebody who doesn't get on, right? But like, it's not that hard to get on if you play kind of daily and make sure you focus those 2 characters before you do anything else.
Yeah, that's true.
That 40% margin is going to make a massive difference.
Yeah, it would make a little bit every day is going to make a big difference.
And not the Guardian raids, because the Guardian raids are every 10 days out, so I wouldn't even worry about that. But you could, honestly, your 100 batons would be a lot of value to you right now.
Yeah, I'll probably just save up the Paladin's rested bonus for when I hit 1540. But yeah, I'm going to park the Sork and the Scout. I'll probably just push the Sork to 1520 just to get that next dungeon.
Yep.
When I get the next Braille piece. Then the Scouter, Berserker, and same with the Scout. I'll leave the Scouter where he is, push the second Sork when I get the next
just
Braille
for a couple
piece,
weeks. That's it.
Just for a couple weeks.
And then he can be another 1540.
Yeah. And then I try to push these 2 to 1540 when I
think that's a guarantee.
Just if I can.
Because I was already looking at the cost, and like it doesn't seem like it's that much. We got 1540,
and then
1530, 15.
Once I get my Paladin to 1540,
dude, it's cheap as shit to get those characters there. So like 2 weeks of farming, you'll be able to easily do it.
Yeah, 2 weeks, and I think after the 2 weeks, then I'll send the Paladin as far as I can take him.
Yeah, yep. 2 weeks from today, so from reset. So tomorrow is 10/11 from 10/11. So that means on 10/25 is when you should have this conversation again.
Yeah.
Which means that there's a lot of dead time there, and I know it can get boring, and that's the hardest part, I think, at this end game that people are going to have a hard time with, is that we're sitting for a while, and we're going to be sitting for a while. But that's okay. That's kind of the point. You want an MMO to get to the point where you're not focused so much on vertical progression, that your vertical progression slows down enough for you to enjoy the content a little bit, because the go that we've been on is the reason why we have like no players left, even though I know we're at a player spike. But
yeah, no, I quit when Valton came out because all my friends quit, and I came back I think when Belshazzar came back, and at that point I never cared about catching him up. Just like, I'm just gonna play.
I love your artillerist name, Budget Charmander. Like,
because I just put on the. I'll show you the skin because I just took the Dino skin and dyed it.
Made him a Charmander.
Yeah, because the flamethrower. That was
Are you confident in this? Do you think that this is a good plan moving forward?
No, I think it's a good plan. I was watching your videos just over the past 6 to 7 months, and it helped me realize like I knew I was playing the game wrong because I've wasted so much gold 5x3ing ults that I'm never gonna pay it back. But it was fun for me to do so. I'm not too mad about that.
Not never. Just do some chaos dungeons. That's not like. Because I do that, right? My whole roster's leveling. That was my other video, the one that I linked to Wilden, was like the argument was to push for 1540s before I push for 1600s, because I get the value back by the time I needed the 1600s, which ultimately means that my account's producing more value overall. So that's not like the problem, and that's what sucks, is nobody really gets this for some reason, and that's why everyone argues this with me. The fundamental logic flaw with everybody on this game is that they believe that the alts aren't a part of their roster somehow. Like, so they won't level it because they're like, you won't get the return on investment for a year to 2 years. But that's actually not like true, because that's not how you look at it. When a restaurant expands a section of its restaurant. It opened up a whole nother section for people to come and eat at. It's not a separate part of the restaurant. They're not hoping to get the return out of that part of the restaurant, that 2% more income that it's bringing in because it opened up 2% more tables. Do you know what I mean? Those 10 tables that it allowed them to make new tables over the 100 tables, they're not just doing the math off that 10 tables. Like, oh, we're going to get our returns in 10 years. That's not how that works. It's more like you have a business right now. Every time you level up an alt or you put gear in alt or something like that, that is an expansion, an investment. It's not how long does that expansion or investment take to pay itself back. It's how long does your whole business take before you're profiting beyond what you spend. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
And that's literally the fundamental logic flaw with why people can't see the value in alts. Also, you have to play the alts. They don't have value. That's 100% the truth. Like, if you don't do the chaoses and stuff, then they just don't have that value. But even if you just did low paying, they have value, right? Because it's like 100,000 per 1,000 gold or something like that for silver. But the point is that I really do hope you get that, because nobody else gets that, and that's actually like what me and him were just arguing about, was that you're not waiting for that alt to return its value. That alt is adding value to the top of your account. Right, so even if it's only 1490 to 1540, yes, you're only gaining a little bit in expansion. You're only gaining a little bit of value on top of that other value, but it fundamentally doesn't matter, because all you're trying to do is use your whole account to pay back that value. So your whole account's just producing more value now. So it's a restaurant that went from making $1,000 a day to making $1,200 a day, and yes, it's only $200 more, but it's not trying to pay back the principal of the restaurant itself. It's trying to pay back whatever that expansion was. And as a business, an overall business, it's not that hard for it to do.
Yeah, no, you're right, because even though I have a few alts that I have 5x3s on that I'm not using anymore, I do just low pang and chaos on them now. So, and it's nice to have like when I want a gem, or when I'm making a lot of level 9 gems now, and when I'm just a little bit short, I'll jump onto one of the ones I don't play as much, and just it'll get me just that last bit there.
You just have the resources.
So, yeah. If I need to, like, I think, like you said, if I need to, I can tap, because I wasn't playing.
Can I ask a question? How many of those characters are close to getting to 1490? Like, how many of those characters, 1415, have bound materials on them?
The scrapper, 100%.
Because, I mean, another 1490 for what you're talking about, just to get Chaos Dungeons, is pretty massive. Because it's only for silver. And that's where, like, I'm not trying to argue with what they're saying, because what they're saying is true. 1490, most value bang for your buck, right? Beyond that, that's where you have to start making calculations to say, okay, how long is this going to take me to actually get the value back out of it? But when you do that, you don't do it based on just the ult itself. That's just crazy. It's not how a business works. You do it on your whole roster. So this added, 5% X value to my overall income to my overall roster. With my overall income, how long can I pay back that investment and start making another investment? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that does make sense.
And that's why I always base those videos, those ones around like releases, because I had 4 months to do what I did. I already have 5 of the 1540s, and I'm still on track to get 6 1600s. It's about making these investments that will benefit your account's overall production, but won't stop you from hitting that next checkpoint, so to say.
Yeah.
So it's like you spend just under what you need before you have enough time to refarm what you spent, basically.
Yeah. I don't know where all her bounds went, because she should have some bounds. But
it doesn't matter. Those are the cheaper ones.
Yeah.
You have 2,500 stones. I mean, I would push that character to 1490.
1490. Okay, yeah.
Do you have the books? Do you have all those brow books and shit?
Yeah, I do. I have them on the Sork. I can dump them over here and start pushing.
You've been farming this character since before we got the Honor Stone fucking merge. Because you have the little leaps. Yeah, that's funny.
She's got a lot. I'll go on my Sork now and I'll push him over. The only thing that bothers me about her is I'll have to buy I don't think I have to, but I feel like I need to buy a bus to get her relic set. Because she's still in Argos.
True, she didn't have the relic set. That's a good point. Well, then don't push her if you really don't want to. I'm just saying, like, the longer you sit on those bound, like, none of my characters in my entire roster have a ton of bound materials. Why? Except for my mains right now. None of them have bound materials because the game is moving forward day by day. So it's almost sometimes that's the natural progression. You're just better off if you can get a character to the next checkpoint, getting the character to the next checkpoint. And that doesn't mean go get a character to 1580 because you can, right? Like right now I could get the artist to 1580 on my main roster. Would I do that? No, because that would hurt my overall progression of what I'm trying to do. But in your case, these characters cost silver. They're not going to damage your main progression too much other than the array cost, which I don't think is that bad. But they will help your account a shit ton. And by sitting on these bound materials, the longer that they just sit on these bounds, the hard, not the harder it is, but they're just not getting as much value as they could. I don't know how else to explain that, but it's like it wouldn't.
No, I understand. It won't cost me much to push this scrapper because I have a lot of the books that they're not being used anyway, so they may also give me something back.
You're also sitting on a dungeon that you could be doing a higher dungeon. I guess is kind of what I'm getting at. Like the 2,000 stones, you're guaranteed a 1490 on this character, so you're not getting next tier materials and leap stones because you're just sitting here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if you push it to 75, like this is a character that you could have pushed to 75 a long time ago, and it would have been grinding more gems, more stuff for you overall.
Actually, I have some very old chests on the Sork as well. I forgot. I'll go get those before I come back here, and I just need to go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
All right, guys, we're gonna end this LostArk Guru session because he's got a pretty good idea on what he wants to do. I have to actually play the game myself because today is the last day, and I got 2 more cons to do. I'll catch you guys in the next one.